So you're ready to start exploring Revit, this amazing tool for creating and documenting architectural projects. And it begins with opening a project. So I'm here in Revit, and I'm looking at the Recent Files screen. This is what greets me when I first launch the software, and I don't have anything open just yet. Now, there's two areas of the Recent Files screen. We've got a Projects area here at the top, and then beneath that, we have a Families area. So there's two basic kinds of files that we can open in Revit. A project file is your building file. It contains all of the geometry, all of the information and features that make up a building project. You can see some examples here in these little preview windows. So you can see you have the entire building sitting in that single project file. Now down here under Families, the icons kind of give you a little hint of what they're for. Families are little individual parts and pieces that you populate your buildings with. So you could see I've got a simple little table there or a truss, and we could bring those parts together and assemble them into our larger building structures. Now, you can use both areas to either create or open existing files. So there's an open link and a new link in both locations. And in this movie, we're going to open up a project and we're going to take a look around so we can see what Revit has to offer. Now, one choice is to click this open link here, which would open up a browse window, or you can go up here to the application menu, this big R as folks refer to it. And when you click that, it opens up a file menu. Move your mouse down, but don't click yet. If we hover over the open command, it will highlight and it will give us choices on the right, and it's the same basic choices. We can open a project or a family. So either way, whether I use the open link back in Recent Files or whether I do it this way here, I'm going to get this browse window that's going to let me open up a file. So I'm just going to go to my exercise files folder, and in the chapter 1, and I have this file here called restaurant. Now I'm going to just simply select that. Now, if you have file extensions turned on in Windows, you'll see that Revit files actually have this RVT extension, and you can see that confirmed down here under Files of Type. Revit is looking for an RVT file. So I'll simply click Open, and that will load this file up into Revit. Now, when the project first opens, it presents me the last open view that was saved with this project. In this case, it's a level 1 floor plan view. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, all of the things you would traditionally think of as drawings in a traditional set of architectural documents, floor plans, elevations, sections, 3D views, these are going to be views in a Revit project. So if we look over here on the left-hand side, there's this palette here called Project Browser. And right at the top of Project Browser is this item called Views, and in parentheses it says All. That just means it's showing me all the views. It's not filtered. And you can see that beneath that, there's categories. We've got structural plans and floor plans and ceiling plans and so on. Right here, you can see that level 1 is bold, and that's my level 1 floor plan view. That's the view that I'm looking at currently. So let's look at some of the other views that are available in here. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I've got ceiling plans, and I've got 3D views. Now, 3D views are really interesting because, of course, they give me a three-dimensional look at the entire building. Now, I've got a couple to choose from here. 3D view 1 is a nice perspective view standing at the street level, and this one that says just 3D with the little curly brackets around it, that's an axonometric. I'm going to open up 3D view 1 by double-clicking on it. And you can see it's as if we're standing at the street view and we're looking up here at the corner of the building. Now let's continue down a little bit. Let's say that you wanted to see an elevation of this wall right here. Well, that's going to be the east elevation. So you can see here under elevations, if I just double-click east, now I'm looking straight on at that elevation view. Now, the views are not limited to just floor plans, elevations, and 3D views. We also have schedule views in Revit. Now, schedules, as you might be aware, are just lists of items that are in your project, like maybe a list of doors or a list of windows, and it's normally this laborious process of laying them out one line at a time and typing in all that information. In Revit, a schedule is actually just another live view of the model. And so what do I mean by that? Well, here you can see I've got a door schedule, a room schedule, and a window schedule. Well, we're looking at several windows right here. So let's go ahead and double-click this window schedule and open that up. And what you're going to see is not only that collection of windows that we were looking at, but actually all of the windows that are in this building are listed here in this list automatically. To really kind of get a handle on how powerful that is, what I'd like to do is take all these windows that I have open right now and tile them together on the screen. If you've used any kind of modern piece of software, maybe Microsoft Office or what have you, you've seen a ribbon interface. So you've seen that most software these days has these ribbon tabs across the top, and when you click on them, there's a series of icons. what I want to do is click this View tab right here, and that changes the list of icons that are available here. And way over on the right-hand side, there's this button called Tile Windows, and I want to click that. Now, when I do, that'll take the 4 windows that I currently have open, and it will just tile them on screen so I can see them all at the same time. Now, I want to adjust what I'm seeing, so I'm going to click in the 3D view window here. It doesn't really matter which one I click in. And if you look over at the right-hand side of this window, there's a little ghosted out toolbar, and as I move closer to it, it will light up. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to click this small little drop down here, and the command I'm looking for is Zoom All to Fit. Now, if it's already got a checkbox next to it, all I need to do is click this little icon, and that will run that command, and it does exactly as its name implies. It zooms all of the view windows to fit their frames. So now we can see all of them simultaneously. Now, let's take a look at just how powerful this building model that we're looking at is here in Revit. We are seeing a virtual model of our building. We're seeing it in 3D, in elevation, and in plan. We're even seeing it here in a tabular format in a schedule. Now watch what happens if I just click in this schedule item here, this first line item, and notice what happened in the other 3 views. Over here, this window lights up in blue in all 3 locations. Now it's a little tough to see in the plan view, but you can see it a little more clearly in the 3D and the elevation. As I click through different items here in the schedule, you'll see them light up accordingly in the various views. That item that I have selected is that window. So if I were to do something dramatic with that window selected, like for example, if I came up here to this rows panel and clicked delete, Revit will warn me that I'm actually deleting the object from the model. And if I'm undeterred by this warning and I click OK, watch what happens in the 2 graphical views. Notice that that window is no longer there. Okay, so that kind of proves to you or shows you that these are live views of the model. If I were to select one of the windows here in the elevation, I can change the kind of window that it is interactively on the fly. So I've got it selected, and then over here I've got a palette called Properties. Now at the very top of this palette it says that that's a fixed window that's 36 inches by 72 inches. I'm going to open up that drop-down list, and I'm going to choose a really small size so it'll be really obvious what just happened. So I'm going to choose the very first one on the list here, 16 by 24. Notice that the window becomes tiny here in the elevation, but notice also in the schedule that the size immediately changes. These 2 things cannot get out of sync because they're not separate drawings. They're just part of the same overall building model. So when you open a project in Revit, it's as if you're stepping into the actual building. And just like in real life, if you went over and picked up a chair and moved it, or you brought in a new piece of equipment, it would be there everywhere for everyone to see. The same is true in a Revit project. So as we explore Revit further throughout this course, keep that in mind that that's one of the most powerful benefits of using the Revit software package.